I'm going to tell you why each slice of the pie of DeShaun Foster's finalized staff is very important here on Locked On UCLA.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, review. Thanks for your support. And hey, if you're an everyday, we've been talking about the Pac-12 Tournament. We talked about women's NCAA Tournament hopes once they release the bracket, and for football, lots of things have been happening, which is where we start today. After I tell you this episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that pushes things a little further? Well, if you're wondering what your next adventure is around the next corner, take the Nissan Rogue, Pathfinder, Armada. Go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at nissanusa.com. All right, DeShaun Foster staff finalized with the release on the UCLA Athletics page, talking about who are the four new coaches beyond, of course, Eric Bieniemy. And this doesn't include the staffers and analysts and everything. So these are the four new coaches that are going to revitalize everything. These coaches, the slice of pie on Pie Day here, they're all going to have significant contributions. Some already, some are looking to replace people and make big contributions to this year's roster. All right, who are these names? What are their positions, right? You got Ted White, quarterback's coach. We're playing Ryan Gunderson, who left to become a head coach. And then Chip Kelly, who was a quarterback's coach for a day. And was like, yo, hip, hip, hooray, I'm going to go to Ohio State and just leave UCLA. Whatever. So Ted White, where does he come from? Where does he hail? Well, Ted White, 16 years of coaching experience, offensive assistant and quarterback's coach for the Houston Texans, vast collegiate experience, and hey, had some big time playing days. So he knows what it's like. And let's be real, Garbers has been in the system quite some time, right? He has been around. He will be okay. And we all expect Garbers to start, just run an offense, keep him upright, and I think it'll be good. But hopefully with the experience for White, it's up to his recruiting. Who can he find out as a talented young man to take UCLA to the future quarterbacks-wise, right? I know they signed people, and we're looking for everything quarterbacks-wise, but it is Garber's team next year under center in the gun along with Colin Schlee. It's how can he develop those two quarterbacks into a dual threat or how to use them in certain aspects. Then you've got Marcus Thomas. This is a coaching staff filled with running back knowledge, right? You've got Eric Bieniemy. You've got DeShaun Foster. You've got head coach and then almost head offensive honcho right there, the offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. And then you've got Marcus Thomas, who comes in, and they needed a running backs coach after DeShaun Foster left and then came back and got a super promotion up to head coach. He comes back to UCLA. He was an offensive analyst, strategic intelligence. So he's familiar with the UCLA system. He's familiar with everything. Now he comes here after being the player personnel at Navy, comes back, and over here is looking to get a first true coaching job at UCLA, where it was his first coaching job at UCLA, comes back. So he's got some experience having worked with Charbonnet and Britton Brown, Demetric Felton. Those are guys that were here when Thomas was here the first time. So you bring in someone familiar into the room, and that helps. You've got someone who's got a little bit of NFL experience, some familiarity, and then two coaches who have helped out already and either going to or already. Eric Frazier, wide receivers coach. I talked about this last Locked On UCLA episode. He came in when you had the most recent UCLA commit. What was it? Jonas Smith, right? Already top of my head, the Santa Margarita kid, class of 26. The second commit, I believe, for DeShaun Foster this week. And he's already got two future commits, more than it seemed like Chip Kelly ever had his entire tenure at UCLA. Years down the line, whether it's next year, sophomore in high school committing, doesn't matter, because Frazier came in, and by name, this kid mentioned the receivers coach. He had the relationship with Jerry, who was cool and awesome. And that's why he's sticking around and moving as a tight ends coach to fill that position, because he's so valuable recruiting wise. He can go get some more talent. But it's Frazier who has name dropped, regardless if he's still here when this kid gets here, hopefully. But he's name dropped his knowledge to the position. What does UCLA have? They have talent at receiver. They got Logan Loya. They got They got all these guys. J. Michael Cernak. Nobody's hit the portal. They've got some talent in the receiving room, including guys coming in, guys who are untapped that we don't even know about. Heck, Keegan Jones can go catch some passes and make some moves. All right? So with already what he can teach Eric Frazier, this is a kid who was working in 2021 with the Tennessee Titans, NFL experience. Who did he work with? A.J. Brown. Where'd A.J. Brown go? Got some big money. Now he's with the Eagles, right? So there he goes. He's worked around collegiately. He's worked in the Big Ten with Northwestern. He's worked at the FCS level at some top-level FCS programs and in the NFL. So he's worked with different players, different schemes. He is someone who has already helped bring in UCLA recruit and get him to commit on the spot. Obviously, Jerry fostered the relationship, no pun intended, but Frazier helped rein it in. Speaking of reining it in, you've got Juan Castillo, who comes in a vast knowledge of the game of football, right? So it says here, almost 40 years of coaching experience, nearly 3 decades in the NFL. What was the one spot of the 3 I just mentioned where UCLA, DeShaun Foster said, we need to make a change? DeShaun left the running backs position. Tight ends have been moved and shuffled around between guys leaving to go be coaches elsewhere, right? And then you've got the likes of the offensive line, who Juan Castillo takes over for Tim Drevno, where you had coaches leave to be head coaches, offensive coordinators at different spots, right? Gunderson, offensive coordinator, I believe, at Oregon State. You had, I believe, Ferris, who left to be the head coach at Austin Peay. You had Kenny Mazzololo, who left to be the head coach at San Jose State. And then you've got Juan Castillo, whose bread and butter is knowing how to rein in the coaching staff. So you're hoping after his coaching in the NFL with the Commanders, with Ron Rivera, speaking about wisdom football-wise in the NFL, the Chicago Bears, the Bills, worked in the Big Ten as an analyst with the University of Michigan with Jim Harbaugh. So he understands a little bit of the Big Ten life. He has some NFL experience. He knows what it takes to be successful at the NFL level, working with John Harbaugh, Jim and John, Sean McDermott and Andy Reid, right? So this is a guy who we hope can develop, recruit, and develop this year's offensive line. Because what was the most maligned unit? Arguably, yes, quarterbacks, significant pain. But imagine if they had some time to throw, for goodness sakes. If they had some time to throw, picked up blitzes a lot better last year, then UCLA could have had a very different look and not had maybe a scared Dante. Had Garbers get smacked every time on the floor and he could have been healthy. Colin Schlee could have had some time to throw and everything, right? They need the offensive line to develop in the pass blocking, be a little bit more strong, be a bit stronger in short-term and short yardage situations, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, where people know you're going to run it and you got to be able to get it. That's what UCLA needs to be better at, and that's what Castillo's coming into this role. So that's just what DeShaun Foster's bringing in with this coaching staff, which I hope can make a big impact. Pie Day, each slice is important. They're not all bigger. They have different meaning behind them, but I do think they're important to this UCLA staff. A lot of weight on Castillo. Hopefully Frazier and then White and Thomas can pretty much fill and help just grow a loaded room with quarterbacks, which is set, I believe, for the year, and running backs, which is pretty gosh darn set. Yeah? Yeah. Speaking of is Dalen Andrews a yes for next year, or is it going to be a mass exodus of Bruins from Mick Cronin's squad whenever the season ends in 2024? Let's talk about Dalen Andrews and his potential impact heading into year 3 of his collegiate career next on Locked On UCLA. This week's bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest. Just like the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs, these guys are able to take it to the next level. Today, we're highlighting the Utah State Aggies as this week's Nissan Rogue. The team absolutely surprised us with an all-powerful performance against New Mexico, giving them their first outright Mountain West title in program history. They say, win life, go Rogue. And that's exactly what the Aggies have done here. So all you got to do, take the Nissan Rogue, Pathfinder, or Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. All right, second segment of the Locked On UCLA podcast. We're talking Dalen Andrews. We're not getting in the nitty-gritty of the game because when I record this, so you probably listened to it, it's not going to be about the game. It's about Dalen Andrews' performance, his growth from season to season, and how he can really be an important piece in the decision-making for Mick Cronin as next year's roster construction. It's already beginning. I know he wants to get to the tournament, get that to 13 straight years for Mick Cronin, for an active tournament streak. But even if they don't make it, I think Dalen Andrews is a very important piece for next year's roster. Hopefully not a part of the big exodus from Gardena, California, 6'2" sophomore point guard. Let's talk about what he did freshman year. 36 games played, averaged about 11 minutes, 0 starts. When you're sitting behind Tiger Campbell, not going to happen. Shot 43%. 31% from three, 67% from the field, average 3 points per game. All right, cool. Maybe an assist per game and a rebound per game. All right. Key had a wide open three, I believe, to try and win against Arizona in the Pac-12 Tournament final. Remember, the Bruins had a chance to win it. Couldn't make it. All right. This year, Pac-12 Tournament opener, 7-3 splashdown. So what does that mean for his statistics this year? 31 games for Dalen Andrews. All starts, all important, right? Important for Dalen Andrews because he has been a focal point, playing 35 minutes, a 25-minute per game increase as he has been, as Mick Cronin said all summer, very important, vital to this team as the point guard. His development would carry this team, and his ability to carry this team, we'll see how far they can go in the Pac-12 tournament to make a surprise run to the dance. It's going to be on the shoulders, unfortunately, of Dalen Andrews, and if he can continue to handle what he dealt with early in the season, some cramping issues. But 35 minutes, his shooting percentage went down. That's what happens when you take nearly 300 more shots than you did a year ago. But he made nearly 100 more shots. The stat I like to see is his three-point shooting improved, currently by 11%. We'll see where that number finishes. He has made more threes than he attempted all of his first year at UCLA. 45 made threes when he attempted 41 in his first year as a freshman at UCLA. He's gotten to the line, shot about 84%. Not necessarily the most effective at getting to the line, but he's been effective at knocking him down, hitting a couple rebounds, pushed that assist number up to nearly 4 per game. The turnovers have gone up significantly, obviously, when you play 35 minutes. The basketball's in your hand. A lot of growing pains. So for 60 turnovers, which you'll probably finish with, that number needs to come down. And the other thing I see for Dalen Andrews, who's averaging about 12.5 points per game, 26 steals. I'm not sure that's part of his game, to see more steals. You play that many games, you play that many minutes, you should be able to swipe the ball from someone else's point guard, other guard, top tier option, a little more, right? But still, in my mind, I would think Dalen Andrews is a centerpiece of the puzzle for next year's roster. When you have at the dinner table, I think Andrews is leading that. I think he's someone who's going to come to the table. He's been answering the bell when it comes to all these post-game, because remember, you don't really go talk to the freshmen all that often. Too much, right? But you get to get a Dem Bona, you get Dalen Andrews, you get guys who are learning and maturing on the fly. Andrews, hopefully, if he's not going to go elsewhere, hopefully Mick Cronin doesn't say, I'm done with you. I don't think that's the case if you used him so much this year. And thirdly, maybe he doesn't, he's not NBA ready. Some guys would like to go and they're done with their career and they go play pro in Europe. But for Andrews, this is a guy who over the next year can make that Tiger Campbell-like transformation. Not that Campbell had some crazy transformation, but it can go from learning how to handle a big-time role to thriving in that role as a junior. He can go from shooting 30-something-odd% as a sophomore, make that 42, make that a 34% three-point shooter, hit 40% of your shots, take down some of the turnovers, create more possessions for your team by getting a little more steals, up that average to 15 a game. That is an elite level player. And I think all those adjustments I just named, 35% three-point shooter, 40%, 42% if you want a big increase from the field. Get to the free throw line a little more, turn it over a little less, steal it more. A lot of things I'm asking there, but I think they're all doable in little increases. Because by the time he's a senior, man, if he stays all 4 years, heck, his junior year, if he makes these increases to be so good that NBA teams might be giving him a look as a second rounder. If he develops and thrives in his junior year, hopefully at UCLA. A centerpiece. I don't know what Adem is doing, right? Is he going pro? Does he want to come back? You know, he is fantastic. Does he want to develop at UCLA? Is the NIL collective even big enough? Does he want to go to the Midwest and see what Big Ten looks like with UCLA? I don't know, but we welcome him back because the Bruins would have the Pac-12 freshman and Pac-12 defensive player of the year all in one in Adem if he comes back. But importantly, the guard play needs to improve. And if Dalen Andrews makes those necessary improvements, that's one less position you've got to fill. That's just someone you need to find to back up Andrews. Because if he's not on the floor, you need someone to go and get him 10 minutes a game that are good. 15 minutes, whatever it is, whatever the rotations are. We've seen Andrews rotate more as a 2, as a 1, floating. I'm not sure he's a pure passer necessarily as a full point guard, but he's done a great job taking the ball, taking over games, getting to the cup, hitting some big-time jump shots. Against Utah, who hit the shot? Dalen Andrews hit a shot. Just because we forget that Brandon Carlson hit a buzzer beater and we forgot the main ingredient, Andrews has hit some big-time shots. He's gotten the opportunity, and when they've needed a big bucket, he has made them. We didn't forget the UC Riverside win, right? With no Mick Cronin. Andrews went down coast to coast, got a layup for the dub. Yeah. He has made some big-time shots and hopefully can do so in March if that continues. But I think the big thing we'll see, Andrews can have that progression, right? We've had all the fun point guards. You've seen the Westbrooks, the Collisons, even the Farmars before that. Some guys who have all gone and had some exciting NBA careers, thrived at UCLA. I'd like to see Dalen Andrews, if UCLA obviously doesn't go on a huge run this year, a revitalized, revamped team going a big March Madness run next season. It would be Andrews who's going to make that crazy shot in his junior year that leads UCLA from like a Sweet 16 or an Elite 8 or takes him to the Final Four or something. That is the capability he's shown in spurts. Now you make that extended consistency, the understanding of what it takes to play in a role that Mick Cronin has him doing right now. That is important. And I can't wait for him to develop and hopefully not take looks at options elsewhere. I think he's here to stay. Probably seems simple, right? But there's rumors floating around. I'm going to talk about those in one of the later Locked On UCLA episodes because we're not touting those rumors. Louisville fans really want some Mick Cronin, even though it's a big buyout. Mick is the pick is a real deal. We're not talking about that now, but hey, we want to make sure he stays, Mick stays. That's all we got here in Locked On UCLA. Next, I'm going to tell you about the X Factor for the women, a little mini preview heading into the NCAA Tournament. Where are they going? Who are they hosting? What bracket are they in? Where are they going for a potential regional? What's their X factor when they're going to play like an Iowa? Or they have a tough Sweet 16 matchup and they got to beat somebody before they can even get to an Iowa or South Carolina or whoever they play. I'll tell you about that X factor next. All right. You got big things coming up. That's why you want Amazon Fire TV, because it is your destination for sports, live games, the highlights, in-depth analysis. They offer amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs. And hey, we've all heard about the Fire TV stick. A Fire Stick? Come on, go get one, plug it into your existing TV. You got new access to millions of movies, millions and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Opening weekend. Hey, the Dodgers, they're going to Korea. You want to get access to that? Go get some Fire TV. You want to go watch them and watch March, the big tournament? Go get that. And you're going to want to have Fire TV because they've recently created Fire TV channels, constant supply of videos, favorite sports brands, all for free, including us at Locked On. You're going to want to get a Fire TV channel and a Fire TV stick and get a Fire TV to see March Madness, NBA, and a lot more. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't, you should check it out. Look at Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Maybe you want to get moving. You want to drive around. Hey, let's think about this. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle. Level it up to peak performance. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors, they've got you covered. Over 120 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll find exactly what you're looking for. eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. You're burning rubber, not cash with eBay Motors. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, last segment of Locked On UCLA. Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer with you guys. Who is the X Factor? Who is the X Factor for the women's basketball team? No, we didn't forget about them. They're just sitting at home waiting. They're preparing. They're still getting things on. These are the nitty-gritty moments that you prepare to be a championship-level team. When, yes, a terrible defeat against that terrible team across town. Heartbreaking, right? Whatever. No, the real chance to shine in March, heading hopefully into April for this team, this is where they build that. This week of preparation, another week of preparation, and then you get to see, all right, where you're playing in the middle of that week. And then you get to prepare for 2 games in a few days, play at home, and then you go to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, hopefully, either in Albany, probably, or maybe Portland, and that's either an Iowa regional or whatever it plays out. Not any real bracketology updates other than a big upset, Gonzaga losing to Portland in the WCC final. Not relevant to UCLA, but what is, who is needing to step up for this team in a shorter sense, right? It's a matchup-by-matchup base X factor. But I think overall, for UCLA, there's X factors, right? You look at Lauren Betts, the piece they've been missing to be a national championship threat. That's what they needed last year if they had Betts. This year, fantastic. Of course, Charisma Osborne, superstar, can go score. Kiki Rice can take over at any moment. I know a fan favorite X factor would be Gabby Jaquez, right? You can see some of these players off the bench like Zonta Giawala, but I'm going to hone in on London Jones, who is the sharpshooter for UCLA, the player who in my mind needs to go out and be consistent game in and game out. Not that she is, but who didn't hit a 3? I know Juju got a lot of hype and everything, didn't do a lot, but got hurt, made some buckets, was banged up a couple of times. No, it's London Jones who I think was the difference in UCLA winning or not winning that game against USC. When they beat the Trojans, what did London Jones do? She got red hot. And she doesn't need to make 8 threes every game. And when I'm thinking a solid shooting percentage of 45-50%, like red hot, but in spurts, right? Couple of threes, 2 for 5, 4 for, right? More efficient three-point shooting, knocking it down, getting it clutch shooting for the southpaw sniper in the likes of London Jones. Red hot from downtown when she can do it against the best of teams, not needing Osborne to go do it, not needing someone else like Kiki Rice to go step out and shoot, or Gabby Jaquez, who can all do it. Even Duga Leach is a very important piece for this UCLA roster. Still, I'm honing in on London Jones. Why is she the X factor? I would say, the Duga Leaches, of the Gabby Jaquez's, and she's in between what I believe the Betts, Rice, and Osborne are, and what Jaquez, Iwala, Duga Leach, Zontag, like she's kind of in between these players, right? Not that she's better or worse. Her role is somewhat in between. She's so dynamite that she's got to be kept in the upper echelon, almost play 35 minutes a game. But if she's quiet, you might forget that she's on the team. It might be Osborne who shoots a lot of threes. A lot of fire has been given, a lot of hype to Lauren Betts for her dominance that has led UCLA to be a top 10, top 5 team in this year's tournament, right? It's Jones who this year, I believe, set the single season UCLA record and will continue to do things for made threes in a year. Jones, man, she can light it up. And consistency from downtown when you need a bucket. What opens up the floor and gets spacing for Betts? Keeping people off Osborne, gives Kiki Rice a chance to drive and kick. Jones hitting threes at a high percentage. I'm not asking for 30-point performances, even though Jones can absolutely do so. But she, I think, in my opinion, in a very early, narrow-minded look at the NCAA tournament, which has no bracket, just bubbles being bursted and slots being filled with automatic berths, it's UCLA having their three-point shooter play really well. Because I know Osborne can do so and get red hot, but to take some burden off their shoulders, it's London's ability to shoot. That I think is a big change, right? Obviously, Betts has to play well. They need interior scoring, the defense. They've got to be able to come out and blitz opponents. And what do? It's when they're shooting it all around. Jones hits a couple, and then everybody feels it, right? Shooting's contagious, and when your best shooter is hitting her shots, that's when it's contagious to the rest of the roster because they get more open looks, a little bit less double assignments, right? Because then they got to focus on Jones, and then that's where Osborne gets a one-on-one. Betts gets that little slip up and under a couple more times than she should against very quality opponents. That's my thought. It's my 2 cents. We're waiting for the NCAA tournament to release the brackets. Come on. Why can't it be this election day already, right? Why can't it happen? I'm waiting. It's too long. I can't wait. And we did not forget. All right. In the meantime, hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. I'm Zach, signing off, saying, go Bruins.